Hi, my name is Blake DiCarlo, and today I will be comparing and contrasting Apple and Sony's various strategies to provide value to a customer in a digital world. The first category that we will be going over are the value disciplines. Value disciplines are a unique strategy that companies can choose to provide value to their customers. I believe that Apple follows product leadership, which is defined as offering customers leading edge products and services that consistently enhance the customer's use or application of the product, thereby making rivals or even their own goods obsolete. Each generation of Apple product comes with its own sets of breakthroughs or evolutions, things like that. You can see this in the ever-increasing amount of cameras on iPhones, the new buttons that are on them, the faster processors and iPads and their MacBooks, and all things like that. These innovations are engineered for speed, which is perfectly exemplified by Apple's annual release of these products, which happens typically around September each year at the Apple event. They're constantly improving on their latest products, making it almost difficult to keep up with them. Apple is really the true definition of product leadership. Sony, on the other hand, leans more towards customer intimacy. This is where they continually tailor and shape products and services to fit an increasingly fine definition of the customer. You can see this in the amount of products that Sony has available for purchase. They have TVs, Walkmans, projectors, cameras, lenses, monitors, like almost anything you could ever think of. So even if it is a niche area and a very specific product, Sony is sure to provide that for the people who want it. Sony sees the value of offering products to niche markets because they know that it accesses a neglected or hard to reach customer segment, and it will create a customer that wants to come back to Sony time and time again to purchase their unique products. The primary customers of Apple and Sony are very similar because they are both tech companies. They typically shoot for 18 to 45-year-olds who participate in technology. They are both in international markets, and it's more towards people who are high earners or have high levels of discretionary income. Apple is more towards people who just have an everyday use for technology, so like a smartphone or headphones or something like that. And Sony, again, reaches for consumers who want more niche and specific pieces of technology. Apple makes personal technology that is used for communication like calls and text and social media, and then there's very elementary or entry-level apps on their phones and devices, while Sony is more professional or advanced hobby-type people. This is where you really see the difference in their value disciplines as well, because Sony has so many niche products that serious and advanced consumers want, but would still appease the average consumer. Sony is meeting the customer where the customer is at, and Apple is more doing what they want and letting the customer come to them. As far as the relationship and loyalty strategies go, both companies work to consistently deliver high-quality products and have both definitely earned their spot as a forerunner in their industries. Customers can trust Sony and Apple because they have consistently provided reliable, innovative, and desirable products to their consumers. Apple does not have a loyalty program, yet they do have a highly loyal customer base. There was a survey conducted by Bloomberg where they found that Apple has a 93% loyalty rate as opposed to an 80% rate shown by Samsung users. This loyalty marketing is done through the consistency of their products, the evolution of their capabilities, and the way that the product makes the users feel. Again, this is because Apple has already worked to achieve this satisfaction and trust, so the customers are now committed to them. Sony does have a loyalty program, but it is tied to their financial division. Sony puts more effort into creating a relational orientation with their customers. This can kind of be interpreted as an effect of their customer intimacy. They have so many products to sell, and being a traditional company, they want to continue the relationship past the first initial point of sale. So they're sure to offer Sony support, online forums, any way that the customer could want to interact with them and continue the relationship. Sony basically has it available. AI and big data's influence on marketing. As tech companies, by default, Apple and Sony both encourage the use and advancement of AI and data in their companies. At Apple, AI and data are more used as a function and cornerstone of the products that they're making, and at Sony, it is more about research and the advancement of it as a scientific type thing. Almost every new Apple product has a way to analyze the data that it collects about you to give you more insights about your daily habits and your routines. So they have this product, say the iPhone, and it just inherently collects data about you as a byproduct. Apple has figured out a way to take this byproduct, turn it into a new thing, a new product to offer you that really entices customers to choose Apple over other companies because of this cool thing and insight that it can give you. This really contributes to the creation of their super personalized products because you can buy this standardized phone that becomes more and more yours the more you use it. Sony, on the other hand, focuses AI and big data as a point of research and less as an integral part of their products. You can actually follow a link to their website, which is listed on my references for this slide, where they talk about the exact research that they are doing with AI and data. So they do imaging, they do robotics, they do just general scientific research, they do machine learning. You can read all about what they do concerning AI and data. So again, they do use AI in their products, but they are more concerned about researching it and creating something for maybe everyone else to use as well, but they want to be the first ones to find it. Big data is used specifically in their Sony Music subsidiary. So they are able to collect data from listeners all over the world to predict who's going to be the next big singer, what the next big genre is, optimize the way that users are consuming their music, and things like that. Again, there's another article that you can read that talks about that in greater detail. Digital transformation, key events, and subsequent actions. The common ground between Apple and Sony for their key event is that it was something that opened the door to future products and services and was not just something that gave them 15 minutes of fame. Apple's key event was definitely the launch of the iPhone in 2007. They at the time only produced computers and iPods, and the iPhone was so significant because it combined the functionality of many products into one. You could call people, listen to music, and essentially have a mini computer all in your pocket. For the time, it was very sleek and fast, and it had a cool new touchscreen. It really set the smartphone industry on fire because it was so different from what was available at the time. And it was unique not only compared to Apple's competitors, but it was a unique product for Apple themselves. This allowed Apple to grow beyond iPods and computers and really move into something that could be truly revolutionary, and it really was looking back now. Sony's big moment was the start of Sony Interactive Entertainment and the PlayStation Network launched in 2008. It was a new platform that enabled online gaming, downloading games, online game purchases, interacting with other players, etc., which was completely different from gaming at the time because it was something you went to the store, bought the disc, brought it home, and played by yourself, and that was that. This is yet another way that Sony or its subsidiaries was able to exemplify customer intimacy and relational orientation because by making it possible for the customer to continue purchasing and interacting with Sony after the initial purchase of the PlayStation, Sony is nurturing the idea that the customer will be back for them and the consumer will continue to enjoy their goods and services. Unfortunately, as a subsequent action from this, they had to realize the importance of data security because there were a few breaches, but it's definitely something that they learned their lesson with and have recovered from. Digital maturity and organizational culture. Organizational culture attributes like collaboration, cross-functionality, risk appetite, and hierarchies can indicate a company's digital maturity. I would say that Sony has a low to medium digital maturity and Apple has high digital maturity. Sony's age as a company is definitely reflected in the way that they are organized as a business. They have siloed business units that operate completely separate from each other and have their own hierarchies within them. While there are definitely cons to operating this way, the pro is that Sony has naturally diversified themselves across these different sectors of the market. But the con is that it's definitely hard to do cross-functional things and collaborate across the different business units. Organizing for digital maturity can look many different ways, but it's definitely essential that collaboration and cross-functionality can happen. And at Sony, this probably only happens while a product is being made. Admittedly, it was very hard to find information on Sony's organizational culture, and that almost gives you an answer in itself because usually companies are very proud that they can collaborate with each other and work together to create an awesome product. But because it was so hard to find that with Sony, it definitely implies that it just doesn't exist or it is so subtle that it's negligible. Also, because Sony is very customer centric, this may limit their innovation and their risk appetite because instead of doing what they want and allowing the market to catch up to their innovation. They more so follow the lead of the customers themselves, and they don't really do odd things because they're innovative and cool. Apple, on the other hand, has high digital maturity. They have a less organized corporate structure and they call themselves a functional organization. And they're divided by expertise and not necessarily a job title. Every product created by Apple has components from each expertise to create a final, sleek, cool product. This exemplifies high levels of communication and collaboration as well as cross functionality because people are working together within and throughout the different expertises. Apple doesn't have such a focus on research like Sony does. They just want to make the next generation of innovation happen with their logo on it. So they really encourage innovation and communication and working together to make something really awesome. And they want to take these risks, but of course, within reason, and they are not reckless. Data analytics and personnel management. Admittedly, it was very difficult to find information on HR management both at Sony and Apple, so this is as accurate and insightful as I could personally get it. Apple does share that they do annual and semi-annual performance reviews, and they also get continuous feedback through check-ins and performance management system. This data that's collected between the performance reviews and the management system can be used to track progress and predict future employee trajectory. They also do a lot of training and development so that there's continuing education that Apple sponsors, and they would also be able to use data from this to predict whether or not an employee is going to stick around, maybe where the next big breakthrough is going to be, and possibly where the future placement could be. Again, it was very difficult to find information about Sony, but it can be very safely assumed that they do just about the same thing as Apple because that is just what's popular nowadays and what a lot of companies do, that there is HR management and performance reviews and softwares that help them manage stuff like this. So to conclude, throughout this project, my main takeaway is that the value disciplines only really work when you have the proper structure behind it. There is definitely the ebb and flow of what's popular for cultures and structures in a corporation, but they are not one size fits all. And it's definitely important to choose a culture that is going to be an appropriate backbone for your organization to support your strategy, your goals, and your values. And also, into the future, technology and AI are definitely going to keep progressing, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. So I think it's very important for most companies to try to do their best to stay agile and keep up with what is going on, because the people that can will float to the top, and unfortunately, those that cannot will be left behind. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out within the next decade or so, what companies come out, what companies fall behind, and such. So thank you. Have a great rest of the semester.